This trail's been delayed plenty of times. We weren't going to let rain delay it again. So we're glad that the rain stopped in time. We were able to get 31 gold shovels down here and all of you to celebrate this groundbreaking today. On behalf of the Friends of the Great Sauk State Trail, I'm proud to welcome you to this groundbreaking event. Many of you have shared stories with me about the long road our community has traveled to get to this day. Breaking ground for this trail has taken a long time. Depending on who you ask, conversation about this trail began somewhere in the late 1990s or in early March of 1845, just days before the incorporation of the state's first village. The planning is finally over and construction has started. Last week, Sauk County Highway Department teams began taking up the rails and ties, and by the end of October, we will have a paved trail running from the old railroad bridge in Sauk City all the way to the southern fence line of the former Badger ammunition property. It is exciting to imagine that by the time the leaves fall from the trees behind me, our neighbors and visitors to our community will be enjoying this river view from a brand new trail. We still need your help to finish this project. Phase 1 will take the trail from the Sauk City Bridge up to the Badger ammunition property. Phase 2 will travel through the new Sauk Prairie Recreation Area and up to the southern entrance of Devil's Lake State Park. We need to raise about $1.5 million to complete this project in both phases. I hope we can agree that a trail that goes through the villages and up to the fence line of the Badger ammunition property is a nice trail, but it will take reaching Devil's Lake State Park to make it a truly great Sauk State Trail. Please consider becoming a founding partner in this effort. Your program has information about how you can contact us about becoming an early donor to this project so that we can get it done with potentially phase 2 construction starting next summer. We're breaking ground today because of the collaborative efforts of so many different municipalities, the support of the Wisconsin Department of Transportation and the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, the Pink Lady Rail Commission, Wisconsin and Southern Railroad, several key community organizations, the Sauk Prairie Chamber of Commerce, and the generous support of the people of Sauk County. Leading much of this work for Sauk County is Marty Krieger, Chair of the Sauk County Board of Supervisors. I thank Marty for his tireless efforts in support of this trail, and I'm pleased to welcome him here to say a few words. Marty?
Thank you, Jeff. And I did note the key word there, few. And you're lucky because I took a look at my notes and realized that I grabbed the wrong folder. And unless you folks want to hear about the agenda for our data collection subcommittee this morning, which I don't think you want to hear, so I'm going to have to wing with what I put down on paper. But first of all, I am chair of the Sauk County Board of Supervisors, and we have several supervisors here this afternoon, and you're not going to find me naming individual ones because if I miss one, I'll feel badly. But there's a lot in the paper these days, or in the last year, 6 months, that has shown unfavorably upon the Sauk County Board of Supervisors. I can tell you that today is an example of how as a county board, when we work together, we can do things very right. And every supervisor, whether they're here today or whether they weren't able to make it, last Wednesday night voted, 1 week ago tonight, voted unanimously to direct the additional resources and effort needed and support to make this trail a reality, segment 1, to make it happen. And so I hope that as you encounter the supervisors this afternoon, please thank them, because we do need their continued support. But I was absolutely elated that we got unanimous support. This has been a long journey. I don't think I've been at several groundbreakings with a gold shovel in my hand, but I don't know that I'll enjoy this. There's one that I'll enjoy any more than this. And it's taken, as Jeff said, the effort of a lot of stakeholders, a lot of partners. But you always remember where you start. And for me, the start was about 6 years ago when a group of industrial representatives, some of the local government officials and myself made the trip down to Madison to make the case to Governor Walker. They need to have the state buy the rail line that ran from Madison to Reedsburg so that we could make this a reality. And since then, back in 2013, finally, that sale was finalized, and we began the pursuit in Rio of a recreational trail. We formed a trail commission, and I think one thing that I do want you to remember today is that from day one of that trail commission, and we have had partners, we've had the two villages step up to the table, the town of Prairie du Sac, the town of Sumter has participated for a little while, and also due to the efforts of our chief planner Brian Simmert and his crew, we're able to make sure that the public were included in the planning of this trail. So really it's your trail. You gave us the input that we gave to the engineers to help them design the trail. And so one of the things, the thing that I think you should remember is that our mission statement of the Great Sauk State Trail is to develop a world-class trail. And we, as I've said before, I think we didn't use world-class just because we were looking for some over-the-top adjective. I believe everyone that has participated in this effort understands that what we have here truly can be world-class. When we hook up with the trail system in Dane, come across the Wisconsin River and take them along this beautiful scenic river view and educate them about eagles and eagle habitat, and then take them through the 7,000 acres that was once the world's largest munition plant, and have them then hook up to the busiest state park in the state park system at Devil's Lake, and then go to Baraboo, Reedsburg, and beyond, that this truly is going to be world class. And so the bottom line here, as Jeff said, is we need your help. This is just segment one, and it does not become great until we do get through Badger and to Devil's Lake. Tomorrow, actually, we start, the Trail Commission is not done with its work. Tomorrow we're going to be meeting at DOT in Madison to try and address what's going to happen with the Sauk City Bridge so that we can make some real headway on making the connection to Dane County. But today we celebrate something that's been a long time in coming. It'll be great for these two villages. It'll be fabulous for Sauk County. This fits right into the placemaking initiative that we are working on. It'll be great for the state. The DNR believes that this, when it is finished, is going to be the most used bike trail in the state of Wisconsin. So congratulations, not just to these two villages, but to everyone who's been involved in this effort. And thank you very much. Now, I said I wouldn't name names, but it does take the alphabets of agencies that we've been involved in, whether it's been WRTC, WSOR, DNR, DOT, and so forth and so on, has sometimes been very confounding. But I can tell you that we would not be here today. First of all, if we did not have the leadership that we had in getting the rail line purchased. But then after that, the cooperation of the two state agencies that we dealt with tirelessly along this way, and that is our folks at the DNR, but to get to this point, DOT. Because what needed to happen was DOT needed to lead the effort to have this corridor transferred over for recreational use. And I have the greatest admiration through this long journey. Dave Simon, Kim Tollers, and Rich Kedzior has been there every time we've turned around, and their partner at WRTC, Alan Sweeney. Without those individuals, we would not be here today in a position to move forward. So with that, I'd like to introduce Dave Simon, who is the Chief of Rails and Harbors for DOT, for a few words.
Thank you, Marty. And thank you for inviting the Department of Transportation to your celebration today. This whole process of converting this set of railroad tracks to a recreational trail, it's a lot like the weather we've had recently. Stormy. I brought with me Rich Kedzier. Rich, raise your hand. He's our Freight Railroad Program Manager, and Kim Tollers. And I'd like to recognize Kim here because Kim spent the most time and most energy on this project. And we really appreciate it. She's done an outstanding job. She deserves a lot of credit for the work she's put in. So this railroad corridor has been part of the rich Sauk County, Sauk City, and Prairie du Sac Railroad history since it was constructed in 1881. So over 100 years, passengers and freight were carried over these railroad tracks. Steam engines chugged through these communities, bringing people and commodities to and from. And now, people are going to continue to travel this route on foot and on bicycle tires. A little transportation history from me because we are the Department of Transportation. The DOT purchased this rail line from the Milwaukee Road in 1982 as part of the Middleton to Prairie du Chien line. The DOT, the Wisconsin River Rail Transit Commission, of which Sauk County is a member, and the short line railroads that have operated on the line have made substantial efforts to preserve rail service. Now on the south end of the line, from Middleton to Mazomanie to Prairie du Sac, that segment was rehabilitated in the late 80s as part of an effort to bring business to this area. Railroad service was provided to the businesses in these communities until our favorite bridge down there decided to be damaged by some very strong river currents. And as you've probably seen, the remaining portions of the bridge are now in such poor condition that there's plans being discussed to remove that structure. Now on the north end, it became apparent that service through the Badger Army plant was not viable anymore. The DOT entered into an agreement with DNR to make the corridor easement available for trail purposes. As you know, the DOT and the DNR have a trail use agreement in place for the corridor through this Badger Army plant, which would be a later phase of this project. In 2014, the Wisconsin DOT worked with the Wisconsin River Rail Transit Commission and the Wisconsin and Southern Railroad to acquire the Madison to Baraboo and Reedsburg line from the Union Pacific Railroad in order to continue rail service to northern Sauk County. The Wisconsin Department of Transportation recently awarded the Wisconsin and Southern Railroad a $14.4 million Freight Railroad Preservation Program grant to rehabilitate the bridge over the Wisconsin River at Merrimack. We call that the Merrimack Railroad Bridge. The rail line acquisition that I spoke of and this Merrimack Railroad Bridge project will secure railroad service to northern Sauk County over that route. And this has made it possible for the state to enter into a Rails to Trails agreement with the DNR to accommodate this trail. The department is pleased to be part of the cooperative and very extensive effort to make this corridor available for trail use. The amount of time and hard work to get to this point today of breaking ground for this Great Sauk Trail has been a lengthy and complicated process that has required many intermediate steps and extensive cooperation and communication and coordination by the many parties. I believe that the friends of the Great Sauk Trail, the contributors, and the citizens of Sauk County deserve a medal for their patience and their persistence during this long process. Unfortunately, we did not budget for medals, but I do have one award to give. It's in my pocket here. It is the Golden Spike Award, and this is an award that Railroads and Harbors section would give to an individual for significant contributions to a railroad project. Even though this really isn't a railroad project, we like to build things and not take railroad tracks out. But this is a great use of this corridor, and we put a lot of effort into it, and we're very proud of what you have done as well. The individual for this reward, I'm sure you know who he is. He went to every meeting, led discussions, rallied the participants, and kept us all focused on getting this project done. So, by the way, this really isn't gold, it's gold spray paint. Come on up here, Marty.
When we started this, it was rails versus trails. We turned that into rails and trails, and now it's rails to trails. And so we've changed this process and changed the perspective along the way that yes, we could really have rails still in this county, and we could also have a world-class recreational trail. So with that, Alan, if you would step forward and say a few words, please. But thank you for your efforts over the years. He is currently the chair of the Pink Lady Rail Transit Commission.
Thank you. I had a 30-year career with University Extension. I worked with economic development and community development, and 35 years ago, as a young and much skinnier guy in Juneau County, I did the first economic development analysis of the impact of bike trail. The Elroy Sparta Bike Trail was about 15 years old, and we did a study of that. And it was useful to sort of wake up the chambers and the businesses in those communities how important tourism was, or bicycle tourism in those communities, because they didn't quite get it back then. A couple of years later, there was a proposed railroad abandonment from Reedsburg to Elroy, and then Assemblyman Tommy Thompson and I worked to try to fight that rail abandonment and lost. And a year later, he and I were working on creating the 400 trail from Reedsburg to Elroy, which is now an important part of the state bike trail system. And a couple of years later, I was with Marty, and we tried to fight the abandonment from Rock Springs to Reedsburg, and that one we won. Because in that part of the county, we have today close to 3,000 jobs, almost all manufacturing jobs, that are rail dependent that would not be there if the railroad pulled out. That's why all this talk about the Merrimack Bridge and all that sort of stuff was about that. And some of those people live here in this community. They live in about 3 different counties. It's about $150 million payroll that impacts this region. And now, keep switching hats from rail for industrial use to rail for trails, and I think this is great. Now that we don't have to worry about losing rail service in the northern part of the county, I think what's going on here is spectacular. And I think Marty's right, and I hope I live long enough to see this, where you can hop on a bicycle in Madison and take the state of the trail all the way to the cross. Right now, we're thinking about here and getting into Devil's Lake. And there's a couple of other ends to fill in, but I think that's really possible. And thinking about today, one of the things that struck me is about the importance of transportation or corridors. When this community was founded, it was because of the river. The most important transportation link in the state of Wisconsin was Green Bay to Prairie du Chien, Fox River, Portage, Wisconsin River. And early in the history of this community, while you're here is the river, there were paddle wheelers that went from Prairie du Chien up to Portage. And this was important. There weren't bridges back then. They had to put ferries across. You got a ferry by a permit from the state legislature. And eventually, the businessmen, as I understand it, from Sauk City, pooled the resources, found investors, and built the railroad from Sauk City to Mazo, and then sold it to Milwaukee Road, because back in those days, a rail system was like an interstate system. Very important to your community. Well, the rail's gone, the ferry's gone, and the paddle wheels are gone. And this old corridor is still here, and putting it back into into a use that's positive for the economic aspects of your community in the form of tourism is really a great thing. And I think it is going to be a stellar trail. You can't take the most heavily used state park in the state and put a trail to it and not have that wonderful impact on this area. Over the years, I've been involved in many economic development studies, the Illinois Smarter Bike Trail, economic impact of Devil's Lake on Sauk County, economic impact of the railroad on the northern part of the county, and I wouldn't be surprised that our current extension agent here for Sauk County, Jenny Ergson, someday does an economic impact study of the trail system in Sauk City. So with that, I'm going to our next speaker about vision, isn't it?
Yeah, dreams and determination.
There we go, dreams and determination.
There we go. And thank you. Thank you to Dave and Alan for your support and all the countless meetings. So here we are, Sauk Prairie. I want to see by a show of hands who out there has sat in a meeting or had a discussion about the rails to trails over the last 20 plus years. Yeah, congratulations. So many starts, so many stops, and today we stop talking, construction begins, and we're here to celebrate. As I was thinking about what I might write for today's remarks, I was reminded of the book, The Little Engine That Could. And Marty came to my mind as Tilly. I think I can. And I just want to say, you know, so many times in today's society, people that lead organizations, they're the first to take the fall for every possible thing that could happen. His bride is here. I want to say thank you for the countless hours that he sits in meetings representing this community. And I don't have a gold spike, but I do think that you've done an incredible job of keeping that conversation going over the years. So I had a funny quote about you being Tilly and the community being Chip, but I think I'll just move past that. Yeah, I couldn't wait to see your response. So our perseverance has paid off for sure. Our passion for this project, every one of you has played a role one way or another, whether it be phone calls or emails or going to village board meetings thanking them. And there were so many people along the way. While Marty has acknowledged quite a bit, I want to acknowledge the Bill Wenzels, the Donna Stalings, the real community activists in our community who always step forward with ideas and keeping that momentum going. On behalf of everyone here, I want to thank all of the Board of Supervisors that are here, the State Department representatives. It truly took a team. But I would be remiss if I did not introduce and point out Brian Simmer. Brian, please raise your hand. I said in a meeting the other day, marketing people like myself, sales folks, we don't really like planners because they bring us down and tell us what we can't do. But Brian always had a maybe not, but what if we did this? And he truly was the person behind the table, the desktop, computers, making this happen. So thank you, Brian, for all of the work that you've done. I also want to take a moment to just acknowledge and thank our village and town boards and our local administrators. If that's you, please raise your hand for a moment. You also kept the emails going. You represented the people. And I know because I was with you a lot of late night, early morning meetings and meetings that you thought, is there even a point? Is this going anywhere? But it did, and that's why we're here today. So thank you. But when we knew it was going to become a reality, that's when your boards really stepped up. And they stepped up with the financial gaps that we needed to make this a reality. So again, thank you for that. Dreaming of a better tomorrow, that's what we do here in Sauk Prairie, and it's what our people are about. Together, we're a growing community that has a reputation of getting things done. Today starts that next chapter where we will need your help. As Jeff said, the Friends Group of the Great Sauk State Trail is committed to not only having a good trail, but a great trail. A trail with amenities and artwork that speaks to the spirit of our community's people, its history, and our love of art. Sorry. The determination that you have used to get us here today I know that same spirit and determination will carry us through to reach our goal of $1.5 million. Now, a lot of people gasp when you throw that number out. I'm not worried about that because I know this community, I know our people, and I know that we never, ever settle for mediocrity, but always working towards being the best that we can be and achieving greatness. So today we're going to celebrate in just a moment with a groundbreaking. We're going to invite you upstairs for an even better celebration. But Sauk Prairie, thank you to each and every one of you here. It's your spirit that got us here today. Thank you so much. And with that, one last speaker is Drew Nussbaum. He is with the Department of Tourism with the state and a dear friend to Sauk County. Drew's come up. We have sat through more meetings than I ever care to admit, but he's going to talk to us about the impact of bicycling within a community.
Hey, first thing, I want to say congratulations to everyone. Those of you that were intrinsically involved in this program. For years, I served as the president of the Columbia County Visitors Bureau, so I've sat in meetings here. Many moons ago, I sat in meetings and talked about the Rails to Trails. Really, I never thought it would get this far. There was a lot of concern of would it progress. It's amazing to be standing here. As your regional specialist now for the Department of Tourism, those of you that live in this community, I want to put this into perspective, what this trail means. And the easiest way I think to do that is, for one, I know we got some water running out of a pipe back here, but just look around and listen for a minute. Birds chirping. Hard to believe in a sense that we are surrounded here by state highways, standing behind a wonderful restaurant, shopping right up the hill. We can go shop, we can go eat, we can dine, we can cross the river and maybe go have a glass or 5 of wine over here. Yep, they're nodding yes, that sounds good. We already have such an amazing amount of tourism in this community, in this corridor. And I'll just throw a couple numbers out there to show you the impact of this region alone. Over the past 6 years, tourism has increased 35% in the state of Wisconsin, the actual financial impact into communities, into our state. When you look at that impact now that has achieved $20 billion in the state of Wisconsin, that was actually a goal that was set for 2020. And here we are, we were officially in 2016, we hit that $20 billion mark in the state. Over $3.5 billion of that are from the 3 counties right here, Dane, Columbia, and Sauk. So look at the financial impact of visitors coming to our community and all the things they already have to see and do here. And then you add in the fact that we know that outdoor environment, trails are so vitally important. The nature, we're right here. We're so close to all this other, to dining and lodging and entertainment and attractions, yet we're standing right here on what will arguably one of our largest attractions in this region over the next several years. I think it's fantastic. And as you bring more folks into this community, you know, they're not just going to be day trippers coming in here, they're going to be staying here. And just to throw another economic impact stat to you, the day trippers, when they come into a community, you know, they average I think the number's about $58 per person is what they spend per day when they come to your community. If you convert them into an overnight stay, that more than triples. That gives them more time to eat and dine and shop and come out here on these trails, buy a trail pass, go visit. And then, once again, look at all the people coming to this community. You know, over 2 million people right up the road here at Devil's Lake State Park, just as one destination. And we haven't even mentioned that other big attraction city just up the road here. Well, I don't think we need to, but we know how big the Dells is for bringing folks into this community. Brings them through this corridor. So the opportunity here, I think, is endless. I think it's awesome. I think it's absolutely awesome to think that in a very short period of time, you'll be able to come down here and hike or bike your way all the way to ultimately Badger, and as time goes on, to Devil's Lake State Park. So you've heard enough speakers, and as they say, when you're the last speaker, keep it short. So congratulations and God bless.
You. So at this time, we're going to do the official dig, and it's very important that we follow rules here on behalf of our media, as we have an outline here, and it'll help me give names. Are we good? All right, so on the count of 3, we are going to yell, "Let's build a trail," and Marty is actually going to do some work here and dig. Throw a big pile up, Marty. All right, so let's build a trail on 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's build a trail.
There we go.
What are you doing? Taking a break? Get to work.
How about that? One Tony's chairman and 30 supervisors.
Before we conclude this groundbreaking ceremony, the Friends of the Great Sauk State Trail would like to extend a few last thank yous and make 2 closing announcements. First, thank you to Blue Spoon and to Mike Boss for welcoming us to the space and for hosting our reception this afternoon. Thank you to the Village of Prairie du Sac and its crew for preparing this area for our groundbreaking. We also thank the Sauk Prairie Chamber of Commerce for coordinating many of the details for today and for providing today's reception refreshments. We welcome all of you to join us on the patio or in the river room for drinks and appetizers immediately following this ceremony. To access the Blue Spoon patio, please walk back toward the parking lot ramp and come across the deck attached to the Ruth Culver Community Library. Before we conclude, I have one more request, paired with an offer I know you just cannot refuse. We need to pull these rail spikes in order to build this trail, so borrow our crowbars and take home a souvenir proving that you were here when we broke ground for the Great Sauk State Trail. Thanks again for your patience, your persistence, and for helping build support for this project. I look forward to coming together again this fall to celebrate the grand opening of our Great Sauk State Trail. Thank you.
This is a great photo op.
I didn't realize it was going to be easy.
You can leave the shovels either in the rails or in the mule down the path here, and we'll take them back up. Thanks again.
Donna?
How are you? Good to see you.